Y'all need the practice, y'all need the practice. Driving like a Franklin, shooting like a Franklin. Y'all need the practice, y'all need the practice. Walking like a Franklin, smoking like a Franklin. Franklin, 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 still. Franklin, 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 still. Chef from Maserati.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I will be reacting to Venom versus Nightmare. Okay, so basically, I'm not exactly sure which Venom he will be using, but the one I'm most familiar is, I think, 616 Venom. Go, stop it. Ah. You know what you do. Bed. Bed. No clothes. You know what you did. There you go. Basically, the one I am most familiar with is 616 Venom, I believe. The one who obviously is stronger than Spider-Man, which the Spider-Man I'm most familiar is the Spider-Man that can knock the Hulk that can hurt the Hulk, the one that can tag Quicksilver, and the one that can tag Quicksilver and catch Thor's hammer with massively fast and light reaction speed. I think city level. No, not city level. City blocked, maybe city level Spider-Man. That one. But yes. Otherwise, I don't know too much about Nightmare, so I got no idea about him. But Venom, I do have a good idea, and also depending on which Venom he is using. Because the one that I know is probably stronger than City or City Block. Which Venom should be around City Block in strength. Oh, City in strength, massive fashion like and speed because he's skilled as Spider-Man and other people like that. And I really don't know anything else other than that. Without further ado, guys, let's go into this video right now.
Welcome to Showoff Showdown! In this series, the fighters are called showoffs, and this is the series for the Showoff Showdown. Now let's meet the showoffs for tonight's showdown, shall we? That's right, it's the second annual Showoff Showdown Halloween special. And what
Or basically one of the two well-known people that or use the victims for revenge. Boo!
I put links to the analysis on both characters in the description below. Now without further ado, it's time for the Showoff 2 Showdown!
Get ready for the next battle.
The fuck?
Okay, so serious.
I think I prefer the mask.
Why is his face just still? Like, I know animation doesn't really matter much, but they could give him at least a black sword or something to make it a little more sense.
Looks like Venom left Nightmare on the edge. Get it? Soul Edge?
Now let's discuss how and why Venom wins this dark, brutal, horrifying showdown. First off, let's discuss who's more skilled and experienced. Now, experience on this one is rather debatable. While it is true that Soul Edge remembers the fighting skills and abilities of past wielders, passing them on to the current host, but obviously the Venom symbiote does the exact same thing, so it's hard to say for sure who's more experienced. Now as for skill, once again, Venom and Nightmare have both learned many new fighting skills and gained many new abilities from every previous host they've had. And aside from that, they are both very skilled fighters in general. Now, I think Venom definitely has the versatility advantage. While on the other hand, Nightmare has very limited range attack options, and he's mainly a swordsman. Now, I'm not saying he's not skilled in any other form of combat besides sword fighting, but he is rather limited outside of that area. Now let's discuss strength. I think we can all agree that Venom definitely holds the strength advantage here. Now, Nightmare has been shown to be strong enough to physically destroy an entire castle, and it should apply to his durability as well, considering that he also survived the resulting castle collapse on top of him. Now, as impressive as this is, Venom has shown much more impressive feats, as his striking strength has been calculated to be around town level, or possibly greater. And the same thing applies to his durability as well. In fact, Venom is durable enough to tank hits from Professor Hulk, who may be a much weaker incarnation of the Hulk, but he's still strong enough to break down doors designed to withstand nuclear blasts. And these same punches barely even harm Venom. Needless to say, Venom can definitely take a whole lot more than Nightmare can. Now let's discuss speed. While Nightmare has been estimated to be massively hypersonic via scaling, Venom on the other hand has been estimated to be at least massively hypersonic, if not faster than light. In fact, there's actually a few factors supporting this. Not only is Venom even faster than Spider-Man, who is fast enough to catch Quicksilver, but he once caught Nova in mid-flight with his web, and he's even been shown to rival the speed of Carnage, who is fast enough to dodge Firestorm's microwave beams. With all this in mind, I think it's safe to say that Venom is overall physically superior to Nightmare in just about every way. Now, there are a few things that some Soul Calibur fans might be wondering. For starters, couldn't Nightmare just suck out Eddie Brock's soul? Well, not exactly. You see, while it is true that Nightmare doesn't necessarily have to kill his opponents in order to steal their soul, but he does have to severely weaken them beforehand. It's highly unlikely that Nightmare would be able to physically weaken Venom to the point of being vulnerable enough for soul extraction, considering the clearly greater speed and durability advantages I mentioned earlier. Besides, Soul Edge probably wouldn't be able to affect Venom anyway, considering that Venom has survived the Pendant Stare, which destroys the soul. Now, an even bigger question for this debate would be, if Venom is weak to fire and Nightmare has fire-based attacks, couldn't he just kill Venom instantly? Well, while that may sound simple enough, it's actually not as easy as it sounds on paper. While it is true that fire, or extreme heat in general, is known for being one of the symbiote's common weaknesses, believe it or not, Venom is actually a lot more resistant to fire than he seems at first. For example, Venom has endured being constantly tortured with fire and Sonic for hours, and yet he still had the strength to fight off Carnage afterwards. Not only that, but Venom has also survived a massive power plant explosion that left a whole area in a raging inferno. And Venom has even tanked multiple Sonic and fire blasts from the Human Torch and survived. So with that in mind, it's gonna take a lot more than just a few fire rounds to put Venom down. Not to mention, Nightmare's lightning-based attacks are essentially useless considering that Venom can withstand massive electrical surges from Electro, and he's pretty much immune to electricity. Now, let's talk about their strongest forms. When Nightmare has finally completed Soul Edge, he achieves his ultimate form known as Night Terror, which increases all of his power and physicality even further, and he was said to be the strongest character in the Soul Calibur franchise. While this may seem like it would give Venom a hard time, luckily Venom 2 has his own jacked up super form known as the Madness. Like Night Terror, this increases Venom's physicality immensely at the cost of some of his sanity, as it makes him more ruthless and psychotic, focusing more on killing and overpowering than strategy. Although the exact same thing can be said about Night Terror, as he becomes solely bent on death and destruction, and only speaks in angry roars and growls. I think you get the picture here. Not to mention, before somebody says Night Terror can fly and Venom can't, keep in mind that Venom can mold his symbiote body into different shapes, including growing wings for flight. So that should likely even out the playfield. So, rather if this battle ends in the short run in their base forms, or the long run in the strongest forms, with every statistical advantage Venom has, he's likely to come on top either way. Now you're probably wondering, what happens to Soul Edge after Nightmare is defeated? The sword will be left without a host, so So would Soul Edge attempt to avenge his former host, or perhaps would he see Eddie Brock as worthy of wielding Soul Edge and attempt to corrupt Eddie's soul? Well, as awesome as it would be to see Eddie Brock with both the Venom symbiote and Soul Edge at the same time, it's pretty unlikely to happen, because Venom has an SPS sense that's very similar to Spidey sense. He would very likely be able to sense the dangerous threat within Soul Edge and protect Eddie from it. In fact, all Venom has to do is destroy the sword and Soul Edge is done for. However, that's probably not going to be as easy as it sounds on paper. If you ask me, the only thing that Venom really has to worry about in this battle is Inferno, the evil demonic spirit that lives within Soul Edge. In fact, Inferno was said to be able to cover the entire world in flames. Now, I'm not sure if this is true or just an unproven statement, but if it is true that Inferno is capable of covering the entire surface of the planet Earth in flames, then I think it's safe to say that that would very likely be enough firepower to put Venom down for good. Now, if this is the case, then what it really comes down to is who can land the killing blow first. Would Inferno be able to successfully incinerate Venom with global annihilating flames first? Or would Venom be more likely to quickly destroy Soul Edge before Inferno could get a chance to? Well, even though Inferno is likely faster than both Nightmare and Night Terror, his massively hypersonic speed still wouldn't be fast enough, as Venom is once again faster than light, and therefore will be able to blitz Inferno and destroy Soul Edge and or Inferno for good. Not to mention, there's nothing suggesting that Soul Edge is indestructible. In fact, let's not forget that Soul Edge was already fractured and several pieces of the sword were scattered, so technically Soul Edge was already broken from the very beginning. Even if Soul Edge is fully repaired for this battle, what's gonna stop Venom from breaking Soul Edge again, and this time destroying it for good? Well, maybe Inferno, but I've already explained how that'll turn out, right? So overall, while Nightmare may put up a decent fight in this battle, both Venom being overall physically superior, having an extensively greater combative variety, and being able to tank, avoid, outmaneuver, and even counter just about everything Nightmare has to throw at him, it all goes to show that Nightmare just doesn't have the same caliber as Venom. I think I've said enough. So, in the end, Nightmare just took a lethal dose of Venom. The winner of this battle is Venom.
Next time on Showoff Showdown!
Who is next, actually? It is? Oh my gosh, Splatoon. Splatoon 2, I don't want to say. That's tingle actually.
Got any ideas for Showoff Showdown?
Ooh, Inklings. I'm saying the Inklings.
And hopefully, I just
I'm saying the Inklings because I really don't know how powerful they are, especially with the end chapter. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm tired. It's like almost 1 o'clock for me over here. I'm tired. But anyways, without further ado, please punch the like button, phone, computer, tablet, whatever you do to watch this video. Punch that like button, slash that like button in half, and subscribe to my channel. Comment down below what do you want me to react to, and I will do it whenever I get a chance. Without further ado, peace out. Ow.